it's not letting me do it. Okay.
So it's actually nice to hear that that you're working with several artists, because that's kind of what I'm interested in doing. How did you get started in adult coloring books?
Oh, how did I get started?
Yeah, what did you just decide to, like, why? It's kind of a rare thing. Most people haven't figured out, even though it's really popular, most people haven't really figured out that it's like, that it's a thing. You know, it's pretty new stuff.
Do you want the long version or the short version?
Both.
Both, okay.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, well, how did I get started in it? You know, it was kind of a lark, actually. So I've been on the side selling on Amazon for, you know, I don't know, a year or two. And so, you know, there's certain people you follow when you're learning to do that. And there's a woman named Catherine Shelton who I follow, and she, you know, did a course on making adult coloring books, and just on a lark. I had no extra time in my schedule. I was like, oh, that sounds kind of fun. I have an art background, and, you know, all different kinds of art. And she was talking about it. I was like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. I can do that. I really, really enjoy drawings and line art and stuff, and I did a couple coloring books that I did do by hand, and, you know, at least 19 of my friends and family bought them. But it's where I got the hang of, you know, how do you format it on CreateSpace, and how do you do all that stuff. And then I mean, that's kind of the long and the short version of how that started. I just was like, that sounds kind of cool. And you know, a lot of people color because it's super relaxing. I actually put together the images because it's super relaxing, whether I'm, you know, adding to them by hand or doing the graphic art or however. So yeah, it just kind of took off and took a life of its own.
So how did that process happen? Like, you uploaded it to Amazon. Did you do any marketing promotion, or did it just kind of take off?
It took off. It surprised me. I mean, you know, I told a couple people about it, but I didn't market it. I wasn't doing anything on Facebook. I just had this idea, like with the, do you care if I cuss on this show, or would you rather I bleep it? So when I printed Calm the Fuck Down, I was just like, it's just something I wanted to do. It's my humor. You know, I used to have a bumper sticker company, and I just love that kind of humor. I don't know why it's just cheesy and silly, but I was like, anytime anybody takes something really seriously, I kind of want to make fun of it. I have a lot of respect for coloring and the coloring community. I want to say that for the record, but I also kind of just enjoy bringing humor to it. So I was like, well, let me just try this. I would love to put images with these things. And I just put it out there, and I hired a designer for the cover. I put it on Amazon, and within 2 weeks, it was just within, you know, the top 100 on Amazon. I couldn't believe it. So I didn't.
How long ago was that? A few months ago?
That was, yeah, it was a few months ago. It was in January, mid to end of January.
It's still in the top 100, and that's 3 months later. That's pretty amazing.
I feel super lucky, and people have been. I mean, you know, there's some things, because it was my first really popular book, so of course there's a lot of feedback, and a lot of good feedback, and, you know, there's some things that I know now that I didn't know that I would change, or that I may change to improve it. But I feel very fortunate, and it's been.
And now you've got a second one out that's also in the top 100, right?
Say again?
I think your second book is also in the top 100 now?
Not yet. It's in the top 1,000 now, I think. I don't know. I haven't checked it just now, but it's getting there. It's climbing.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's a better book because I have learned from, you know, the first book. So I think it's actually a better book, quality-wise.
What did you learn?
Just, you know, looking at people's feedback, like filling more of the page with images, adding more images, making them crisper, darker lines, you know, things like that. Putting a little bit of marketing in the book, just letting people know, because I have a newsletter where people can get free downloads and stuff, and I just put that in the book so people know about it. And I just think it's you know, people are telling me it's a better quality book. So just learning as I go, you know.
Did you also put out a Kindle version, or is it just in print on demand paperback?
Yeah, I've been debating a Kindle version, and some people are getting either their book or their account shut down for it, for doing a
Uh-huh.
Kindle version of a coloring book. And so I wrote
Right.
Amazon to say, can I do a Kindle version? Because what has to happen is you have to have a link so people can actually download the images because they can't do that
Right.
from Kindle. So I wrote Amazon to say, hey, can I do this? And they said yes. So if I ever do that, I have, the written, like, yeah, you can do this. But I'm actually debating doing the downloadable versions on my website.
Hmm. I've also seen a lot of people, they'll take one page from their coloring book and put it up on Etsy and sell like the
Mm-hmm.
one print for $5 or $10 or something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of just extra marketing, I guess. If people are there on that platform looking for that product and you already have the product,
Mm-hmm.
because now you have the product, you just want to put it out everywhere you can. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
if it was me, I would do a Kindle version just because I could make it free even to get people to actually buy the real book or to give them a sample or to get
Mm-hmm.
them to sign up for something. But when I contacted Amazon, I tried to set up some Kindle adult coloring books, and they said it's not right for the Kindle platform because it's meant
Right.
to be used. But I've
Right.
seen other books on Kindle, so I know it's possible.
Yeah, it's totally possible, and I've looked at the numbers and the rankings of the coloring books on Kindle, and it seems like maybe it's just ahead of its time. Maybe it'll take off as people see, oh, maybe I could download them and print them out myself. I mean, that's kind of nice because then you can do whatever kind of paper you like, or so I don't rule it out.
Hmm.
But yeah,
How do you
it's
find,
I'm getting.
because you said you've in the second book you prepared it a little better so the art's a little crisper, but um, some people think the create spaces print on demand paper is just not so good for art. Have
Mhm.
you had any problems with that, or
It depends. I've seen, I have the books and I think they work great for coloring. But I do know some
right?
people, if they like to paint or they use markers, you have to put a blotter sheet underneath,
Uh-huh.
um, because they can go through. I always make sure to put images just on one side,
Right.
so that you don't have it go through on an image right behind it. So it kind of depends on who you ask, really. I've heard some
It's a
people
good
love it
idea.
and some people hate it.
It's a good idea to put instructions in the book saying you should use a blotter sheet or something. It's one way to avoid frustration if you just tell readers how to avoid the problems that they're going to find.
hmm I did in one of my first books that I published, not Sasha O'Hara, but I think I hope I'm right that most people know that who are pretty avid colorists.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do you think adult coloring is catching on right now? And specifically, like a year or two, they already had kind of what's the girl who does the Under the Sea, the Secret Garden type coloring books?
Oh, Joanna Basford. Yeah.
Right. So those have been out a couple of years and they're very popular. But
hmm
right now,
hmm
the more dirty swear word type coloring books
hmm
are really popular. And I'm wondering if you have any insight, like why is that so attractive to people?
Yeah, I have been thinking about that a lot because you're not the first one to ask me that, and I've thought that too. Like, what is that? I have a couple theories. I don't know if it's right or not, but it's a really interesting time. One, people are just so stressed, and it's a great way to blow off steam. And sometimes you're just like, you've had a shitty week at work, and you just want to, say it, but you can't say it, because some people have kids, or they just, they kind of feel that way on the inside, but they don't really express it on the outside. So it's a great way to blow off steam. Like the coloring is relaxing, just getting to say what's on your mind is relaxing. Then you kind of have an outlet for it without taking it out on somebody. Um,
Right.
I think that, it's funny. I don't, you're in Taiwan right now, right? Like, I don't know if you've been here during the this election campaign cycle. It's kind of crazy. Like, people,
Yeah, I just
this,
follow. I just watch the news and um, all the late night shows.
mm-hmm,
That's all I know about the election. I'm actually making a adult coloring book for the 2016 election, which just has pictures
Mhm.
of all the people.
I saw that, yeah.
It's pretty fun.
I think, and I don't want to get into politics too much, but I think, I look at the candidates who are, you got Trump and you got Sanders, and they might be on different ends of the spectrum, but they're both really passionate. And I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of energy and in some cases a lot of fear. And I think that we just need an outlet and we all need to, have something we can do where we can relax and unwind and kind of chill the fuck out.
Right.
To use the title of my book.
Second
I
book, right?
mean, yeah,
And are you working on a third book?
I am working on a third book. Yeah,
Do you have a title to share already, or are you keeping it secret?
I don't have a title yet. I have a couple titles in my mind, but I don't have a final title just yet.
Okay.
It's still going to be a sweary book. It's going to be a slightly different angle on the sweary book. So um, yeah, I'll share more as I get a little further along in it because I haven't quite.
That's
It's kind of like self-help with sass. I come from like an art background and a self-help background, right? And so it's combining those two worlds. I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna be pretty fun.
that could be a lot of fun. So it'd be like, get your shit together, or do the fucking work, or like motivational stuff.
It's yeah, kind of like enjoy the shit out of this
You're
moment,
fucking
or
awesome. Ugly
yeah, a
fucking
little.
woman.
It's like irreverently positive, So like, I look good naked, or I'm a total fucking badass, or kind of along those
Awesome.
lines. Yeah, it'll be fun. Some of the art's going to be awesome. I'm working with an artist here in Portland who I met in improv class, and she's
Wow.
fabulous, and she's a great addition to the art for the book. So I think people are going to like it.
That's cool. It's fun to find the art. I found a bunch of artists I wanted to use, but then I couldn't. Like they made one good piece, but I couldn't get them to make 30 pieces because I have to
Mm-hmm.
tell them exactly what to do, or I try to leave it really open and just like here's some money, do some creative, awesome stuff. But that's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
lot of pressure unless you tell them exactly what you want.
Yeah, it's a learning process and learning how you communicate. And I think there's an art to getting the art you want and the artist you want. It's a gem when you can find somebody you just gel with.
It's exciting
I've
though because if you like, I've talked with some other people who are interested in adult coloring books, but they're doing all the art themselves, so they just can't
mhm,
publish very quickly. And with
mhm,
this, I mean, not that you need to because you're already doing really well, but usually to stay high in Amazon, you have to keep putting out content every couple months,
mhm.
or else you'll just have.
Yeah, yeah. There's
So
some people who are out there who are super quick, and because I do still have my hands in the book quite a bit, I don't outsource everything. I am a little slower than some people who are putting out. I have a friend, who's also one of those the sweary authors, and he's put out like 7 of them since December, and he's way faster than I am.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
but yours are. I doubt his are doing as well as yours are.
he's doing very well,
Yeah,
actually.
all the one like that's what blows my mind is that I mean it's amazing to be in the top 100, but there are probably like 300 or 400 adult coloring books in the top 1,000 that are
Wow, yeah.
still selling pretty well. I mean, if you're in the
Mm-hmm.
top 1,000, you're selling like 1,000 copies a month or 100
Mm-hmm.
copies a day. So anyway, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Top 100,
Mm-hmm.
I think, is like 1,000 copies a day, but I'm not sure if that's true.
It depends. It depends
Depends, right?
because I've been like, oh, because sometimes I'll be at a rank of 38 and I sell more than when I was at 4, and I think
Mhm,
it's just overall sales volume on Amazon that day. And
mhm.
it's really interesting because before Easter it was lots and lots of sales, and then right after Easter just boom, just went down. So even at a really high rank there was still fewer sales. It's really kind of
Uh-huh.
fascinating to watch.
Yeah, my books are all. The reason I'm interested is because my books are in like the top 10,000, which is okay, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was writing fiction, so it takes me a long time to write fiction, and I get paid well for the page reads, but you have to. I mean, it takes a long time to write.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, I think I just lost you there. Do you want to try logging back in?
Oh, can you not see me? Can you hear me? Huh. Hello? Can you see me now? Hello?
Hello,
There,
you
okay.
back?
Yeah, it looked okay on this end. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. Yeah, so I was just saying I was doing nonfiction, but it's harder
Mm-hmm.
to make a lot of money selling nonfiction. So I
Mm-hmm.
started fiction, which it's easier to make money with fiction, except you have to write a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
a novel is like 100,000 words. And I love the idea of adult coloring books because it takes me a couple days to finish. I mean, you have to get the
Yeah.
art, and that takes a month or two. But to prepare and to publish is so much easier and faster,
Mm-hmm.
and they're more popular, and they actually people like them and they enjoy them more.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's an exciting field, and it's such a tiny. Like there aren't very many people who are doing it yet. I don't
Hmm.
think.
Yeah, I think
But
it's. Oh,
go
sound
ahead.
just. I'm hearing an echo of myself now. First
Oh,
of all, I just want to give you props for writing your own fiction books. That's amazing. I've written two nonfiction books that I published on Kindle, and then a couple fiction books, and that is tough. I'm impressed that you did that. Can you hear me? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, good.
I can hear you.
Um, but yeah, the coloring books are super fun. I mean, if you like art, it's there. I mean, yeah, they are simpler in a lot of ways. All the words when you're writing, that's pretty complex. And not that the art isn't complex, but personally, I just think it's really fun. And I really enjoy looking at them. And, um, with the books that I'm doing, I kind of crack myself up sometimes too. So it's pretty funny.
Right.
I mean, it's fun for me.
I saw that on your site you get some comments from people who have PTSD who find it
Yeah.
helpful to use the coloring books,
Mhm.
and that must be pretty satisfying to be helping
Mhm.
people like that.
Mhm. It is amazing because, in my practice, I'm in private practice and I, work with people who are stressed and in pain, and I'm able to help people on a one-on-one, you know, basis
Mm-hmm.
because it's a service, I'm in service, one-on-one, one client at a time, but I've been amazed at the comments that I've gotten from people with PTSD and anxiety, and people have told me, I was having a fight with my spouse, and I just threw the book at him, and we started laughing and made up. I mean, it's pretty cool to just. It seems so simple. I didn't understand what an impact that could have for people. That's pretty. I love that.
Well, it's nice because your title, it's not just something people can do, but it's really a conversational piece. Like you can hold the book up or give the book to somebody, and almost like the point of it is just to have it on hand so that you can
Mm-hmm.
share it with other people. I think
Mm-hmm.
that may be why your books are more popular than a lot of other people's books, is just because the cover and the title makes a really clear statement.
Mm-hmm.
And you also started doing adult coloring parties, right?
Um,
Or
I
something.
haven't hosted them. I do have on my website how to host a Sasha O'Hara coloring party.
Oh yeah.
I think it probably involves a lot more wine than a children's coloring party.
Hmm. You should organize like a some kind of event. Like if you
Hmm.
order 20 books, then we'll give you this extra thing that
Oh,
you can
interesting.
use at the party. Like put a package together, so that people
Hmm.
can just order the whole thing.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I know it's a brilliant idea, and the problem I don't want to say the problem, but just managing time and
Oh
projects is
yeah,
the trick, right? Like
right. You got to
that's
pick what's most important. I
yeah,
have trouble with that.
yeah.
There's
So
so many
many.
things
I
to
know,
do.
and probably the people who read your blog too. I mean, we're probably just like full of so many great ideas, and I bet you have really, creative, entrepreneurial people who are really bright, and just, the ideas are always coming, and so it's like prioritizing. But that's
You
a
have
great
to do
idea. We'll definitely keep that in mind.
you have to do the one thing. You have to do the thing that other people want, because
Hmm.
if you just do the thing that you want, you won't make any money, and you might waste a lot of time making something
Hmm.
that doesn't matter to people.
Hmm.
But you also need to do something you're passionate about. So it's hard to find that
Hmm.
balance. in something that'll pay you enough to keep doing what you want to be doing.
Hmm. I and you know this because you filled out the application, and so I did the Calm the Fuck Down book, and then I was like, wow, this people love this, and so I decided to create a business out of it because I have a lot of books that I do want to do, and products, and different ideas, and so um, I literally cannot advertise because of the title of my books.
Right.
So when I was thinking about marketing, I'm like, how do I do this? And so I'm actually putting together a promotion team. And so it's a group of people who, I'm interacting more closely with because I want that feedback. I want to find out, to find that intersect between what I want to do and what people actually want. Just like you're talking about, see if I'm on the right track, or if like that idea is dumb, nobody's interested, or we're like, okay, well, what else do I want to do that people might like? So yeah.
Hmm. That's fun. But I mean, mostly you can focus on, like, most authors aren't selling books, so they have to spend a lot of time marketing or building their platform to sell books. But you're already in the top 100. You can just keep putting out more books. And I
Hmm.
think, I'm not sure, but I think Amazon kind of links books together. So if you have one book that's doing really well and you put out a new book, they'll be more likely to give it a push because they expect it to perform well.
Yeah, I thought that same thing, and they do that, but it doesn't, because I thought that when I put my second book out, my first book was at number, I don't know what it was, like 14, or it was really high. And
Hmm.
so I thought, oh, they'll just, it'll seamlessly get matched up with that first book, and it's actually not what happened. It did a little bit, but there was a technical thing where they put them as one book, and so it didn't just it put it as, I don't know what happened, but so that was the first 2 weeks kind of figuring out that technical thing, and then so I learned, I have to put some effort in on my part too. So there's some things like if you I spend a lot of time on phone with Author Central. So if you
Hmm.
put out a second book, you can create a series, so that way people can find your other books. Um, Keywords help. So Amazon does a lot of heavy lifting with promotion and linking, but I've learned that there's some other things that I need to put into place to help that as well.
Hmm. Yeah, the
Hmm.
series is a good idea, linking together that way.
Hmm. Yeah. And the person I was on the phone with on Amazon, she was great. And she said eventually what will happen if you have a series is that people will be able to buy them all together. I don't
Mhm.
know when that kicks in, but I guess people will, I don't know if it's the, people who bought this, or because you want this book, you might like the series. I'm not sure yet how that
Mhm.
works, but it's kind of cool to have that feature.
I think Amazon, they kind of bundle it all together and they say, why don't you just buy, these three books for $20 or whatever. I think they do
Hmm.
that automatically, but
They
um,
do.
I don't have any series yet, so I'll
They
get better.
um they do it automatically, and that one is organic because I thought
Um,
that they could say, because it says, well, people who bought this frequently buy this, or they buy these together. I thought that your light's on.
yeah, I have
Um,
a little light.
yeah. So that's actually organic because I was like, well, can you, put people who bought the first book, bought the second book, but that one is not contrived,
Mhm.
if that makes
Interesting.
sense.
So
Yeah, I know. I'm learning a lot.
you're way ahead of me, and I've been doing this for a long time, so that's exciting.
Mm. It's
It's
been
fun to
trial
see.
by fire a little bit. I mean, it was cool
Yeah,
because I came to
you learn
your
quick.
blog when I was telling you this when we were talking pre-recording, that when I was first publishing, I actually found your blog and it was really helpful. And
Yeah.
so I appreciate that. And, and now I'm learning trial by doing. So
Well,
this is
you've
neat.
kind of killed the dragon already. You've done the hard part by getting your books so visible. That's what most authors can never do. So now it's just taking advantage of your visibility and trying to build an email list and trying to get the traffic back
Mhm.
to your website.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but mostly, I mean, I would just keep putting out books, write it as long as you can.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel very fortunate. I know some of why it got so popular, and I don't know all the reasons it went viral. I feel very, very lucky. Um, because many people have asked me, well, how did you get it to do that? I'm like, gosh, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
having a professionally designed cover is really, really important. I did not design the cover myself, and I think that's key.
I just assumed it was some of the art from the inside of the book on the cover. Is it different?
That page is in the book. Um,
Hmm.
the coloring page for sure. Yeah, that is in there. And then the designer worked with it. I gave him the fonts I wanted used, and he just went with it and created. It was a lot of back and forth finding the design that was going to be the one. But
Hmm.
he did a great job.
It's exciting. I just put out
Yeah.
the Think and Grow Rich books that I'm putting together.
hmm hmm
I just made a Color and Grow Rich, where it's just like quotes from the book because it's a public domain now. It's been out since
Oh
1927.
wow. Uh-huh.
It's copyright free, and it's still there's other versions, but there's no like coloring book version of Think and Grow
Wow.
Rich. I'm
That's
hoping
brilliant.
that's kind of popular, but we'll see how it goes. I think it's
That's
kind of
pretty
weird because
cool.
most people don't know that it's copyright free, so they'll look at it and be like, "Is that legal? Can you do that?"
hmm
Um, I think it's a pretty good idea. I think people might like it, so we'll see.
hmm
I'm planning on just putting out a ton and hopefully having like if I get in the top 1,000, I'll be happy. So if I have 10 or 20
hmm
books in top 1,000, that'd be
hmm
great. But
hmm
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, you're gonna do the world domination method of just, bunches of them. There's
Well, I've got a
my
couple I think will be kind of popular. I'm doing one that's the adult coloring book of ridiculous hipster beards and mustaches, which is the
hmm
guy's face with all those like. So that
hmm
could be fun too. My
hmm
humor is kind of weird, but I think they're pretty fun ideas. I don't know if the like when people are actually coloring them, if they'll really enjoy them as much as they do your books. But
hmm
I think the concept is fun, so people might buy them just for the concept.
hmm
But we'll see.
Well, it's kind of cool because you're doing something. I think that's important just to, even if it's a smaller niche, just to do something that you like. And, there's going to be a group of people who like what you do. My first
Hmm.
books, I think it was an aunt was just like, could you make a coloring book for the Iris Society? And
Oh yeah.
I, yeah, which I think is awesome. I think somebody should do that. I don't know that it's my niche, but yeah, if you can find something that you like, and I mean, I don't know if you've been to Portland recently, but the mustache beard thing is probably going to be a hit here.
Yeah, I'll once I have it, I'll find a place to because they're cheap to print out, so I can print 100 copies and just like leave them somewhere. I won't be back to
hmm
Portland until next year though, but when I come back, like next spring or next summer, we should do a big coloring party.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
that would be cool. We
Portland's a
could
fun
do
place.
some.
It's hard to find space. Like I've looked for spaces to rent before. It's kind of
hmm
hard, but you can just have a meetup at a park or something. Um, That's probably what I would do. I would say like the first 100 people get a free coloring book, and then just have a big meetup
Huh,
to
that's a fun
attract
idea.
people.
We'll have to. You'll have to let me know when you're here. We could meet up.
Sure.
The big.
Yeah, it'll be a while. I wish we could come back this summer, but we usually we come back for a couple months. Last year we came back for like 6 months, so we kind of overstayed, and now we're not in a rush to come back for a while. So
Oh.
we kind of did it. We spent a long time in America. We like it. It's great, but
Mhm.
we'll take a break. We'll come back next year.
Yeah. hmm Wait till after the election.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we won't come back after the election.
Oh
Depends
gosh.
who wins.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll
see how
see
that
how it
goes.
goes.
The
Yeah.
election's in November, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this is kind of a weird. This is just a weird year for America.
Yeah. You might have a lot of visitors around November, depending on their political bent. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll start like a expat community somewhere else. People who live in school. Well,
And that's.
I was gonna say I'm out of questions. Is there anything
Oh,
else you
okay.
wanted to share?
Um, I think Well, I was just thinking about your blog and your readers, and I've been trying to share what I've been learning because, that's how I learned was from other people who learn stuff and share it. And um, when I guess just a final piece, like I think one of the great things about what we can do now with Amazon and other publishing platforms is just that we can be anywhere and be authors and public. It's amazing. I'm amazed at um, I remember before the internet really really well because the internet wasn't around until my last year of college. And it used to be if you wrote a book, you'd have 1,000 copies in your garage and you prayed that people would buy them. And it's amazing. Like there's so much opportunity, and you're doing some really cool stuff, and I'm sure your readers are too. So I just think it's a really fun time to explore it and see what works, and throwing spaghetti on the wall. Like there's no harm in trying it, and seeing what
Yeah, it's
sticks.
exciting when
Mm-hmm.
you find something that you can make faster. I think the problem most authors face is they spend 2 or 3 years writing a
Mm-hmm.
book, and then it's not a book that has a wide market, and they can't market it. That's where I
Mm-hmm.
see a lot of frustration. But
Yeah.
it's a weird industry because I try to tell people, you should write books that people want to read, and they'll be more
Mm-hmm.
successful. And most authors, they won't hear that. They don't want to hear that because
Mm-hmm.
it's all about the art and the passion. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's weird. It's frustrating. I'm kind of an outsider because a lot of authors think I'm selling out if I'm writing
Mm.
for readers instead of writing for myself. But
Right.
um,
Well, it's
I don't
not.
think it
It's
has to
not.
be like that.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I know what you're saying because there's the. Do you know who Robert Kiyosaki is? He wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, and
Right.
he tells a story about. I'm sure a lot of. I'm sure you may have heard this, but he was saying, well, there's a difference between a best-selling book and a best-written book.
Mhm.
Like it depends on can you find an intersect with a subject that you love or a story you love that also intersects with what people want. If you can find that, great. Or maybe you know write so you can
Yes.
pay the bill, so then you can follow your passion. It kind of just depends on how you want to go about it.
I figure if you can make a lot of money first, then you deserve to follow your passion later because you learned it. But
Totally.
a lot of authors follow their passion. It's weird. They, on the one hand, they assume that passion is the same as quality, and it almost never is. So there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of authors who feel like because they're writing the book they want to write, it will be good, and that's usually not true. Like writing
Mm-hmm.
skill is something you learn with practice. It doesn't really matter how much passion you have for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the best written book isn't the one that sells the best. There's a lot of books that aren't well written that sell
Mm-hmm.
much better than, so it's not really about the writing. It's more just about does it satisfy a certain
Mm-hmm.
readership, which is where
Mm-hmm.
I start
Totally.
from. Like if I can make anything that satisfies some people, that's what I want to make. But
Mm-hmm.
it took me 10 years of trying to follow my passion first and trying to make my own stuff first before I realized I wasn't really helping anybody. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that was my realization point was I had to make stuff that other people liked, or I would always be a starving artist. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
mental shift, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yep, totally get that. That's
Anyway,
awesome. I'm really.
for for being on
Hmm.
because I feel like I'm running out of things to talk about.
Okay. Well, hey, thanks for having me on, Derek. It's really cool, and I'm glad we got a chance to talk. And yeah, thanks a lot.
Sure, I'll share it on my blog. I talk about your books a lot anyway, like in Facebook forums, because I think it's
Hmm.
awesome what you're doing. But I'll continue to.
And you're breaking up a little bit. Sorry. Um, hopefully you can still hear me, but I will post this on my website too, and then people will get to see some of the stuff that you do as well.
Throw some traffic your